I said, guess who's back? Man, guess who's back? I said, guess who's back? What's going on, people? It's Backchat TV, back with another reaction. Unfortunately, it's not an exciting reaction. It's not the reaction that many people were hoping for. I would definitely say that the anticipation for this fight, Stevenson versus santos, certainly didn't match up to the reality of what happened. I'm going to discuss why I think this happened, what the reasons were in general, what kind of happened in the fight, and what we think about the fighters, particularly in this case, Shakur Stevenson. A lot of people may think differently about Shakur Stevenson now after seeing this terrible performance. So let's get into it. Just for anyone who didn't get to see the fight, Shakur Stevenson basically won a decision, a boring snooze fest decision over Edwin de los Santos. And the fight just wasn't exciting. Everyone was complaining. All the fans were booing, particularly booing Shakur Stevenson out of the ring. After the fight, he said he doesn't want to make any excuses. But even though he said he didn't make excuses, he was alluding to the fact that he didn't feel well. And a lot of people are now suspecting that he sustained a hand injury. And the hand injury that he sustained before the fight during training was the reason for his bad performance. But he didn't say this himself, but he definitely alluded to this being the case. Now, why did this happen? Now, I think there's two possible reasons why this was such a bad performance. One reason is that he actually had an injury that he sustained before the fight, and which made him hesitant to throw. I think it was his left hand, which made him hesitant to throw the left hand. And, you know, he decided to just get the win and play it safe. The other thing that could have happened is that actually he was fine and there was nothing wrong with him. But within the first couple of rounds, he couldn't find a mistake. He couldn't draw a mistake from de los Santos. He also was testing him in the first couple of rounds to see how fast he was, and I think he realized that de los Santos was very athletic, very fast, very skillful, great defense. And I think maybe he felt a little bit of power as well. And I think he thought, you know what, I can't take chances from this guy. I need to just play it safe. And that's what happens sometimes. Sometimes you're in a fight with a guy who is just as good as you, and they were both basically, it was a game of chess. They were both waiting for the other opponent to make a mistake. Within the first few rounds, Shakur was just kind of, he just concentrated on not getting hit. He did that on purpose to see, you know, what he's dealing with. How powerful is de los Santos? How fast? You know, what his reaction time was like. And that was fine. He was actually boxing great. The funny thing is, to me, this hasn't changed my mind, I should say, in how good I think Shakur Stevenson is. I think he's a great fighter. He's even a lot better than I even thought he was, to be honest. He had great footwork. He got out of the way of almost all of de los Santos' punches. He never looked troubled at all in there. I find it quite hard to believe that there was anything wrong with him by the way he was moving. When he did decide to throw a punch, they were crisp. He was sharp. He just didn't throw many punches. He didn't take any advantage of any errors that de los Santos made. I think he knew that it was a trap and that he would probably get countered with something, and I think he just didn't want to take that chance. And that's what often happens, like I said, when you get in the ring with someone and after the first 3, 4, 5 rounds, almost half of the fight, you haven't really seen any significant errors from your opponent. You have to play it safe. I also feel that Shakur was actually waiting for de los Santos to run out of patience and overextend. There were a few times when de los Santos was trying to push the fight and trying to make something happen, and you know, Shakur Stevenson was just sitting back and waiting to counter, which he did on a few occasions. There was a few occasions where he led as well with a jab. He decided to just use a really fast jab just to kind of rack up points. And I think what Shakur Stevenson does, within the first few rounds, he assesses you. Like I said, sees how fast you are, what your reactions are like, what your defense is like, what your footwork is like. Can you cut him off and stop him from doing certain things? And if you can't, and he sees a lot of errors, then he comes forward and demolishes his opponents, normally just outboxing them. And sometimes he'll get the stoppage if he sees a lot of weaknesses. I think within the first few rounds, he didn't see any weaknesses in De Los Santos, and so maybe, like I said, he felt some power from him. He definitely said he can punch, so he definitely felt something from De Los Santos. He realized that he was quite skillful, and he decided to just go back to his amateur training and just jab, 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 move, get out the way, and just get a points decision. I can't blame him for it, because I think if he would have tried to take some chances, I think he would have been punished by De Los Santos. It's quite strange. It's probably one of the first times I've seen such a bad performance, but my estimation of both fighters has gone up. It's quite strange, really. I think De Los Santos is much better than we all thought he was, and I think Shakur Stevenson is a really good fighter, probably a bit better than I thought he was as well. I know a lot of people knew that he could outbox people, but there were a lot of hard, fast punches thrown by De Los Santos, and Shakur did really well to get out of the way of almost all of them. So I suppose in a way you have to give him credit for his boxing skills. He's very technical. His distance control is second to none. I think he'll give a lot of people trouble for that reason. If he didn't hurt his hand, it was just because of the power coming back from De Los Santos and the speed, and he just didn't want to take the chance, decided to just get a boring win. And you know, a lot of us are going to say that we could blame him for that. Of course, the fans want to see an exciting fight. I wanted to see an exciting fight. I was really up for this fight. Very disappointed in how it ended up going, but I still think Shakur Stevenson is a really good boxer, and I think if De Los Santos was any less than he was on the night, I think Shakur Stevenson would have come forward and followed up with some of those punches. He tried a couple of times to follow up, but it was far and few between. De Los Santos was pushing most of the time. He was trying. He was very patient, but he's naturally an aggressive fighter, and you could see he wanted to go forward. He wanted the fight to happen. And it's quite disappointing. I feel more disappointed for De Los Santos, because he was trying to make the fight. All night he was chasing Shakur Stevenson to try and engage him and actually make a fight. And Shakur Stevenson just didn't want to know, was boxing on the outside throughout the whole fight, didn't take any chances whatsoever. Can you win like that? Yeah, I suppose you can, but can you be respected for winning like that? This is the problem. Has his estimation gone down? You know, I don't know. I don't know how much it's affected him. Obviously, he's he's won a belt, and he'll go up in the rankings because of that. But I think the real question is, has this performance given you any clearer indication that he can beat the likes of Devin Haney, Tank Davis? I don't know. I still have those questions now from seeing this performance, but I will give him some credit. He's got great reactions, great distance control, great head movement. He's really athletic. He has all the tools to be a champion. He has all the tools to beat all of the guys in his division and move up as well. But the power has always been the question over his head, and I don't think that's been lifted. He still has the question because of his bad performance. It wasn't good at all. I feel bad for De Los Santos, but I feel like he's still the boogeyman. Going 12 rounds of full distance with Shakur Stevenson, coming out unscathed, really. He just got outpointed. You could say that the only reason why De Los Santos lost was because he took chances to make the fight happen, which is something that Shakur Stevenson didn't. Because he took the chances, he got outpointed. You could say that. But I think Shakur Stevenson was just a little bit better, especially with the jab. Forget everything else. The jab was fast, crisp, and it was getting through a few times. It just got through a few more times than De Los Santos, basically. There wasn't much in it. I think the fight was actually probably a bit closer, maybe. I think the results were accurate. I think it was a majority decision, or it was a unanimous decision, I can't remember. But, you know, it wasn't a great fight. Very disappointing, very disappointing. Let me know what you thought of the fight. Has your estimation gone down? Do you think Devin Haney beat Shakur Stevenson now? Do you think they're on the same level? What do you think of De Los Santos? Has your estimation of him gone up or gone down? I think he's a great fighter. He would have learned a lot from this fight. I think he would have learned that within the first few rounds, if he can't impose his power and knock somebody out, and he comes up against another fighter who's as good as Shakur, maybe a Devin Haney, this type of caliber of fighter where you can't just rely on your power, I think he will start to get his jab going and just learn how to be more patient. Because I think the only reason why he lost was just the difference in the jab. Shakur just stayed safe, back foot game, getting out of the way, countering with a jab where he could, or leading with a jab, and he didn't give De Los Santos any chances to do anything. A lot of casual fans will say, oh, why didn't De Los Santos do more, or why didn't Shakur do more? But you can't, when you're against a fighter who is sharp as these guys. Both of these guys were really, really sharp. You could see they were reacting to everything. You know, it only would take one mistake from Shakur and De Los Santos would have been on him straight away. You know, a few punches, I could see Shakur getting knocked down. And Shakur just didn't give him that chance. First of all, it started with the footwork. He didn't let him close the distance. Anytime De Los Santos would close the distance, Shakur would duck and hug him as close as possible. He didn't give him a chance to do anything on the inside, and from the outside he controlled the distance. De Los Santos did well to do what he did, but it just wasn't enough. Bad performance. At the end of the fight, I didn't feel like Shakur was as upset as he was making out. You know, when someone's really upset with their performance, you can kind of tell. And although he was upset that he wasn't able to implement anything offensive, you know, he wasn't able to attack in any way, and you could see he was disappointed about that. I don't think he was as disappointed as he was making out. I think he was happy with just to get the win. And I think he knew that he had to say he was disappointed and that it was a bad performance. But I think end of the day, he was quite happy to just get the win over a dangerous guy and kind of forget about him. I would love to see a rematch, to be honest, but I don't think that will happen. For De Los Santos, I think he only goes up from here because I think he knocks out most of the other contenders. You know, the contenders that are under the best fighters, anything under that, I think De Los Santos stops them. So yeah, I thought it was a kind of I can't say it's a good performance, but at the same time, my estimation of De Los Santos has gone up after this fight. But let me know what you think. I don't want to ramble on. This was a really boring fight. There isn't much to say about it. I'm on to the next one. I said this was back, man. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment. Feel free to like this video and subscribe to my channel. I'm going to be doing a lot more of a similar nature.